So why should you hit the Downs this year? Well, I'm off to meet a guy called Steve. He and his family have had direct contact of Chestnut House Hospice. So he's going to talk to me about his experiences there and maybe give us food for thought about why you really should be doing this ride this year. Well, I've met up with Steve and we've hit the Downs link and we're going to go and get a coffee and have a chat about Chestnut House and his experiences there.
Yeah, especially on those handlebars.
Who's it made by?
Univator.
Oh, Univator, not Unilever.
No. I think I paid 650 quid for this 25 years ago. Okay, so my daughter Becca is now 23. She was our first child. Like any new parents, we were obviously fairly apprehensive, and by the time she got to about a year old, we were concerned that she wasn't really developing as you'd expect her to. So we then went and revisited the specialist, who then suddenly decided that actually there was an issue, and diagnosed her with spinal muscular atrophy, which is a genetic condition that basically the mother and the father have to have the genetic defect, and every time you have a child there's a 1 in 4 chance that they've got this condition. He fortunately in some ways diagnosed the severity of it far too bad. So he basically told us that I believe she's got type 1 spinal muscular atrophy and she's got 6 months to live.
Oh, God.
But you need to go away and come back in a few weeks once we've run the test to confirm it.
Can you maybe do them a bit quicker?
So, so you can imagine our whole life imploded at that point. But, you know, ultimately the good news was that the severity of her condition wasn't as bad as he had said. It was actually type 2 SMA, which the way science has moved on, actually, although it means she's permanently in a wheelchair and she is susceptible to chest infections, she, within reason, can actually live a good life with the right support. It has taken its toll on the family over the years, and that's really, I think, whenever it was when Chestnut first opened, that was when we first got in touch with Chestnut to see whether they could provide support or respite for us and for Becca, basically. So they just started up and they didn't have enough funding to open all the beds, because a lot of the kids there probably need, at times 2 or 3 people supporting them.
Yep.
But they were there with us from the start, to be honest, right the way through until Becca got to about 18, 19. So, I, my daughter and the rest of my family fully understand the importance of what Chestnut Tree is and what it does, to be honest.
And what help did they give you then?
The biggest help, I think, and nobody can really understand this until they've been in a situation, but when you've got a child with a complex condition, literally everything is difficult, to get in the right drugs, to get him there on time, to get in the right diagnosis, to go into school and getting them statemented, to trying to go on holiday, to trying to find a wheelchair, to get wheelchair funding, to just live your own normal life. Literally every day is a struggle. They will be able to say to you either, look, you can come here with your child and you can have a holiday and we'll deal with all of the issues. You just chill out with your kids, enjoy yourself, don't worry about what drugs are being given, when, times, we'll deal with all of that. And that 2-3 days respite will help a family survive and come through the other side, because the other unfortunate thing is that if I take an example of my daughter's condition, we were involved in the national charity for her condition, and I would say probably at least 60% of the families, they'd split up.
So at Chestnut then, they must employ like medical people, doctors, nurses, carers?
Yes, they do. So they employ all of those. And obviously right now they'll be experiencing extreme pressure on retaining those people.
And that level of care and expertise must be very expensive. So
yeah,
they must rely on charity.
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly now how much they need to fund the place for a year, but I think it's something like 2 to 3 million. Because a lot of their children will certainly need permanent one-to-one care, and at certain times may need 2 or 3 people around as well.
And so for the people out there who are out raising money and thinking about pushing for sponsorship, it really does make a difference.
Yeah, it does. I would say, don't just get your friends involved in sponsorship. Get the companies that you work for, get their suppliers involved. Get your customers involved, because without this level of support from Chestnut, fundamentally, this is something that, in an ideal world, would be funded by the NHS, but in a realistic world, it can't be. But without that charity and without people's funds, there will be people that can't be supported, and there will be families on their knees struggling, for sure. Yep, so I did hit the Downs a few years ago with my son Dan. We wanted to do something again. We've done quite a few things for Chestnut, but we wanted to do hit the Downs. We were fortunate; it was a lovely sunny day. The South Downs is a brilliant place to go cycling, and for anybody that hasn't done the part of the South Downs way and the routes that they do, they should definitely, if they're into cycling, this is definitely something they should try and get involved in. Is it tough? Well, it's like anything, I guess. Depends how much training you do. Was it tough when I was 50 and my son was probably about 18 to keep up with him? Yes, that was probably tough. If I'd done a bit more training, it probably would have been easier, but it's a real good feeling at the end of the day when you've done it. I think Chestnut are looking to, attract more and more avid cyclists that perhaps didn't know about the route of the South Downs and getting involved with Chestnut. And I think just try through your channel to appeal to the people to take this route, come to the South Downs, hook up with Chestnut, raise some money, and have a good day out at the same time.
And for people that want a challenge, there is an 80k version. That's a proper ride.
Yeah, no, it's a proper ride, and there are proper hills and there are proper bumps, and it will properly stretch you. So where we are now, and I have to say I never ever imagined in my wildest dreams from that initial diagnosis where we'd be today, but where we are today, my daughter's now 23. She completed a uni degree during lockdown, which was obviously tough for a lot of people, but she walked away with a first in English literature and language. She walked straight into a full-time job. There's probably a nice link there actually for Chestnut, because she did some work experience with one of the patrons of Chestnut, who saw her when she did the keynote speech at one of the Chestnut Tree Balls, Matt Turner. So she is now working for that company full-time. She's been there 2 years. She's doing really well. She's loving what she's doing. We have just managed to get her into her own house. And so she is what I would pretty much say is living a pretty normal life, and actually I would say a lot of her desire to achieve and her reasoning to ignore any obstacles that are put in the way probably is in part actually down to the support we got from Chestnut actually. So
yeah, so they really played a part in where she is now.
Yeah, I truly believe the support they provide in the early years as children to the child and the family, they are a lifeline that will hopefully enable those children and families to move on in a much more positive way actually.
So I'd like to thank Steve for his time today and for sharing what is no doubt very personal experiences of his family life and his experiences at Chestnut House. It's very pleasing to know he's in a much better place now. and I'm sure looking back on it, he can't believe the journey he's been on. So I'm hoping that this video will inspire those people who've already signed up to maybe push a bit harder for sponsorship, because ultimately that is what Hit the Downs is all about, trying to raise money for a really good cause. And if there's a few people out there wavering, shouldn't I enter it? Now, there is still a live link running in the description of this video, that if you click and use the code MUDDY20, all one word, you can get 20% off your registration fee. So please enter this. It will be a great day of riding as well, no doubt. And if you're looking for a challenge, there is an 80k option. And thank you for watching a very bike light video today, but I thought it was important to actually explore why people should do Hit the Downs and not make it just about cycling, for once anyway. Now, I'm going to be there. The ride is on July the 17th, so please use the code, and I'll see you on the next video.